Now, let's get started. So basically, when you open Blender, you get this default scene. Since most of you shouldn't be new to Blender, you already knew that. But I'm just gonna, you know, do a refresher here to make sure that everyone's up to speed with what's going on. So over here we have our T panel, and if we hit the N key on the keyboard, over here we have our N panel. Now my Blender interface looks slightly different from yours because I changed my theme. In order to do that, you have to go to the user preferences. So hit Control Alt U on your keyboard. That brings up user preferences. So go to themes, presets, and I changed mine to Elysium. So that's once you do that, click Save User Settings. Now, you may notice something else different is that my N and T panel are transparent. That's because I went over to System and checked Region Overlap. You see, when I uncheck it, they become solid, but when I check it, they become transparent. So I liked it. I like it. Now you don't have to have my setup. You can follow along just fine without copying my complete, exact setup. But I keep this setup just because it looks more interesting than Blender's normal setup, and I just like it more. So save those settings, and exit out. So a few of the things to remember: this is the camera, this is our default cube, this is the light. Remember, you select things with right click, okay, and you use the left click to move the 3D cursor around. You can hit Shift S to change the position of the cursor. If you want to move it back to the center, just click cursor to center. If you want to move it to selected, and just hit Shift S cursor to select it. I'm gonna move it back to the center. Okay. Now, to move stuff around, you hit G for grab. To rotate things, you hit R for rotate. And to make things larger or smaller, you hit S to scale. Okay. Now you go and tab into edit mode, and this is where you do all your actual editing. So you hit A to select and deselect everything. So A selects everything, A deselects everything. So if you want to deselect, like if you right click on a vertice here, you want to deselect it, just hit A. Or you can shift right click on it to deselect it also. Now, A, like I said, deselects everything. So if I have this whole face selected and I hit A, it deselects the whole thing. But let's say I don't want to deselect the whole face. I just want to deselect one vertice. So just hit Shift, hold Shift, and right click, and then you still have your previous selections. There are three different modes of selection. If you Control Tab, you have Vertex, Edge, and Face. You can also find those three options down here next to the word Global. So, Edge mode, you can only select edges. And the same rules apply though. If you want to deselect everything, just hit A. Or if you only want to deselect a certain edge, just hold Shift and click on the place that you want deselected. Same thing with face. Same thing. So those are the three different modes of selection. And so if you're in face mode and you want to hit S to scale, you just select the face and hit S, and you scale that whole side, as opposed to being in edge or vertex mode, having to select all four and then scaling it. In vertex mode, you have a bit more precise control over what's going on with your mesh, like you're actually manipulating the individual points of it. In edge select mode, you have more control over manipulating your mesh than you would with face select, but it's still not as precise as vertex select. However, there are some transformations that you might need to do that require edge over vertice or face over vertice, or whichever one is the most convenient. You can, like, if you needed to select this edge for something, like for beveling, which is Control B. Would you rather select 2 points just to get the edge, or would you just hit Control Tab and select the edge? So it depends on your preference and what you're trying to achieve. So those are a few of the things that you'll need to know to follow along this tutorial series. We'll go and I'll show you more keyboard shortcuts and stuff as the series progresses, but again, this is not for strict beginners in Blender. You should already have a slight idea of what you're doing in this program. I'm just giving you a refresher here so that everyone can try to follow along as much as possible. But like I said, if you want to get a full look at Blender's interface, you should check out YouTube. I know Blender Cookie has a lot of tutorials about just the basics of Blender's interface. Now, one last thing I need to show you all before we get started with the series is a rig you'll need to download. The name of the rig is called the PitchPoy rig. It's a modified version of the already Blender installed Rigify rig that comes with the program. You'll need this when we try to make the character move. It'll be a lot easier in the long run. So basically, you want to go to Google or Firefox, wherever, type in this address here. So I'll leave it. In fact, I'll zoom in on it in Camtasia so you all can see it. But once you go here, just click clone or download and download the zip file. I already downloaded it. However, once you download it, okay, go to where it says Rigify Master Zip, find it in your folder, and basically what you want to do is open up another file search. In this case, I already have another one open. And in this second one, go to where you have Blender installed. It should be in your program files. So find your program files, and then go to Blender Foundation, then go to Blender. Go to Blender 2.77, go to Scripts, Add-ons, Rigify, Rigs. Now, once you get to Rigs, you won't have the PitchPoy folder in there. What you need to do is double click on Rigify Master, Rigs, and then you just take PitchPoy and slap it in there. And there you go. And then once you're done with that, when you open up Blender again, you'll have to refresh it. But when you open up Blender and you hit Shift A, and make sure Rigify is turned on in the user preferences, so hit Control Alt U to go to user preferences. Okay, then go to rigging and Rigify. I already have Rigify turned on, but just check it and then click Save User Settings. And once you have that turned on, Shift A, Armature, and now you'll have not only the human meta rig, but you'll have the PitchPoy human meta rig. Now I'll show you the difference between the two before I end this. So the regular human meta rig is just this. It has basic structure, arms, legs, torso, and neck. And this is really good, real simple characters, but you're going to have to rig the face yourself. However, with the PitchPoy meta rig, you get a full face rig. Okay? No facial rigging will need to be done by us. The rig will take care of it and much more. So that's why we're using this rig. So just wanted to show you guys that. Alright, so that's the end of this tutorial. Thank you all for watching, and I will see you all in the next one.